we are now here together, and I am very welcoming Nourshan and Bedran. Your names are not so easy for us. And as I can see, there is a simultaneous translation from Kabat and from Bedran, isn't it?
We are trying to do so through WhatsApp call to not waste time for a double, taking time while you are doing the English, we do the Kurdish. So we are trying to fix that. So please go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. So we will talk a little slowly that you can understand everything, and in a English that we hope you can understand well, and to translate it simultaneous to our guests here. They are in their languages. We did this call, and then we will start to introduce everybody. Cornelia, isn't it? Okay, and first I want to say the how did it work, because I miss John Buck. So if someone has a WhatsApp number from John Buck, Nate, maybe you can call John. John wanted to join us because John Buck is the one who brought us together. John Buck told me when he would like to come to Austria, but his wife Ramona, she gets sick in Poland, so they went home. So we have been very sorry that they did not come to Austria, because otherwise Cornelia, John Buck, and me, we would sit together here with John in Austria. But now John is at home in US, back again, and he wanted to join us in his early morning. But we do not know if it's possible for him, but we record everything so John can also, after this talk, hear what we are doing. Maybe he will come soon. And I have been very happy to hear John's suggestion that we could have a talk with you to learn more about your democratically approach, what you have there in the Rojava. I do not know if I spell it right, in this region where you are autonomous, a Syrian place where you are autonomous. Yes, and then I had the idea, because I did not think that people from Netherlands, a mayor or a Vienna person could make it so easy, and I also wanted you to have a benefit from our call. So I invented Joseph Rathinam to this meeting. Joseph Rathinam is from the Indian Neigborhood movement, neighborhood parliaments movement, a very big movement, also bottom up politics, but not as you are. So Joseph Rathinam is the one who has a long experience with these neighborhood parliaments in India. And so I hope that the discussion between you in Syria and Joseph Rathinam from India will bring also for you a benefit, so you can have an exchange. And there is also Nathaniel Whitestone with us, and also me, and also Cornelia, she's also an expert for sociocracy. We had worked on neighborhood circles in the European environment. And neighborhood circles, maybe it's a little similar from what are you doing in Syria. So we together, we are very, very curious to hear from you how you are organized, how you are doing politics from below. This is our what we are asking you to hear more about it. So Cornelia, now you are ready to facilitate us now?
Yes, I hope so. I hope so. So I want to really warmly welcome Nourshan and Bedran. Nourshan Hussein is the main speaker of the Civil Diplomacy Center of North and East Syria. And their intention is to build bridges between the North and the East Syria, and also with the world outside. So what's happening in this area is that there's 2 million people organized autonomously with the intention that all those cultures who are there, there's Kurdish, Arabic, Christian, and all different heritages, ethnics, and also religions. What I understood so far, that they are peacefully and really nicely organized, and also autonomous, organized in Rojava. And it's, you know, it's a quite a strong women's and democracy, and yes, I'm really curious about going deeper in that topic, because as far as I read things, it's like the dream of the world, how you organize yourself. And I also want to really nicely welcome Bedran Çiya Kurd. He's the co-chair and very present in the world as far as I've been doing research on. And he's from the Foreign Relations Department of Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria. And it's been voted in consent from the Democracy Syrian delegacy, and I'm really curious of how everything was started and how it's working now. So as far as I know, it started in 2013, and there's 2 million people organized. So how we are starting and how the whole call is going to be set up is that we're going to hear something about the North and East Syria setup from Nourshan and Bedran. And then we have questions and answers. And then we'll go into Joseph Rathinam's presentation about the Indian neighborhood parliaments, who are organized in probably 400,000 circles. And we also find out about the SoNeC project, what we're establishing in Europe. And we have a dialogue afterwards of the issues, what's going to raise up while we are hearing each other. And we're doing a dialogue about how can we support, and what's the vision about it, and what's the issues we want to talk about. So I invite Nourshan and Bedran to...
Cornelia, can we also please let Joseph and Nate say 2 sentences to their persons, because we are the ones who will have the dialogue, isn't it?
Yes.
One after the other, or start now, Nourshan, with...
Yes. I gonna spotlight everyone. So there's Nate.
Hello. Would you like me to say something briefly about my background?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So as you can tell by my accent, I grew up in the United States. My life in the mid-90s was devoted to supporting the development of the eco-village network of the Americas and doing other community and sustainable business work. I've done a lot of different things over time, but most recently I've been very involved in bringing the neighborhood parliaments movement from southern India to Europe and a little bit to North America. And I live in the United Kingdom in southeastern England, and I work as part of a small worker cooperative called A Fairer Society, and also as part of the networks that Cornelia has just mentioned, the European SoNeC network, and the one that you didn't mention, which is the Control Shift Alliance, which is focused on shifting the center of decision-making from global and national levels to regional and local levels. Yeah, it's a real pleasure and privilege to be here. Thanks.
Yes, Joseph, would you
Yes.
like to say something?
Thank you, Cornelia. I'm Joseph Rathinam from Chennai, India, southern part of Indian subcontinent. And I was in 80s a businessman. In 1990, I started my own political party, thinking that I can do something for the welfare of the people. And within very short time, I was disillusioned with the party politics. So I was wondering how we can start people's politics. So when I was on a search on the methods and strategies and studying possibilities, then I met Father Edwin, who is already talking about neighborhood parliaments, where the parliaments were brought to the neighborhood. Then I joined him and we started working together from then onwards to develop the idea in a better applicable manner. Then we started working, preparing modules and started training. And now for 30 years, I am fully into it. Organizing training, organizing neighborhood parliaments, children parliaments, youth parliaments all over the country. And past few years, I am also connected with Barbara and her team and Nate and his team in a big way in Europe. And now we are slowly spreading to other continents also. So that's what I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nourshan, would you like to introduce yourself?
از بخير هاتنا حموها بلدكم وإيرو قالك كيف خشمكم از آمادما لفر please أول بريفان.
To begin with, I welcome all of the friends and would say that I'm really happy to be here today.
راستيجي از ناوي من نورشان از ناوندا دبلوماسيا جواكي دا كاردكم أو جي بلاتفورمك كدبلوماسيا قلي باكور رجلات سوريا بقلي الدربرة ددي شكرا.
My name is Nourshan and I work in the Civil Diplomacy Center. This is a platform so that the people of Rojava can have relationships with the people outside.
وأم راستيجي إيرو قلكي يعني excited إنكو أم في هبدي أنجي في ديالوجي بهافالين خان إن هندستاني وجي هندي ترى أم تشيلكن.
And we are really, really happy and excited today to be making this meeting together with our comrades, our friends in India and in many different places.
Spas.
Thank you. Bedran, would you like to introduce yourself too?
از وحما سلاف دکم سپاسیا هر کسی کو آلی کار بو جبوی کنفرانس کوسا دارخست و از ناویم بدران چیا کرد هفسرو که دسته کاری در با یه ربیبیا خسر با کروجلاتی سوریه.
First of all, I would thank everyone and give greetings to all the friends. In particular, thank everyone who put in the work and the help to make this meeting come together and to happen. My name is Bedran Çiya Kurd, and I'm a member of the diplomacy, the exterior relations of the autonomous administration of North and East Syria.
زگاله کیف خاشم به دوست وکر امتنا گل هب و ام روشا کو هی روجاوا با کروجلات سوریه هی نقاش دکن.
I'm very happy to come together with all of our friends and to be able to discuss the current situation in North and East Syria.
اگر در فتیا ما یجبو گوتنی ام دوام کن نه اگر ون تشتکی دی بخوازم بیجن کسی دیتر.
We can continue here, or if another friend wants to say anything, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. The plan is the first part that we get to know more dive deeper in Rojava's situation and how it all happened, how it was established, and what was the challenges and the successes, and so we can learn from each other. And I would invite Nourshan and Bedran to get their presentation.
استشتكي بيجم جالية ترجمتي ذاك أخي. I will just say, as the interpreter, translator, we'll go mostly like this, that the comrades in Rojava say a section and then I repeat it. If it's like too little or too much and difficult to follow, people can also interject and just ask that we change it a little bit. But basically we will follow like what makes sense for the friends, if that's okay.
Super.
Tamam. Kerem Kenevelno.
Thank you so much.
gelek spasiya dikim careke dîtir û rastî derfetek we damej bû ku em li vê derê ji bo reşa Rojava Bakurê Rojhilatê Sûriyê ji beşdarvan û mêvana re şîrove bikin. Em gelek spasdarin.
So once again, we offer the deepest thanks for this opportunity. It's something really special to come together to discuss the current situation in North and East Syria, and for everyone to join and come together around this. So we are
Niha weke ku tê zanîn gelê Kurd ji gelên resen yê asîl yê herêmê ne û dîrokeke dirêj e di herêmê da bi gelên dîtir jiyan dikin bi Ereb, Sûriyan, Ermenî weke hemû gelên dîtir xwedî dîrokekî kûr û dirêj e.
as it is known, the Kurdish people are people of this region with a long history, and in that long history, living together with other peoples of the region, whether that's Arabic, Assyrian, all the different peoples of the region. There is a long history of coexistence behind us.
Niha di Sûriyê zêdetirî 4 milyon Kurd heye û ev hejmara mezin yê ji gelê Kurd piştî avakirina dewleta Sûriyê ya Nuh ya Nourshan piştî dagirkeriya Fransa jê derket û wek dewlet netewa Ereb hata avakirin hêdî Kurd dibin siya dewlet netewa Ereb da rastî siyasetên înkarê û berterefkirinê hatin.
There are more than 4 million Kurds within Syria. This is a big number of the Kurdish people in this region. And after the time of French colonialism and the creation of the Arabic nation states, we can see that there was really like a politics of oppression and occupation, and of annihilation coming onto the Kurdish.
Mafê xay herî besît û rewa jê hate mehrûm kirin di alî ziman da nehîşt bi zimanê xwe biaxaftin bi çanda xwe jiyan bike bi wek îrada xwe siyasî çê bibe weke ku bikan be xwe îdare bike ji bo vê ev gel rastî hemû siyasetê înkarê û îmhayê hatin di salên bûrî da.
The most basic rights were stripped away from the Kurds as a people in the side of language. People were not allowed to speak in their own language, not allowed to express themselves and preserve their own culture, and allowed no way to politically express their will. And so we can see that this is a people who have lived like the most heavy denial and oppression.
Rastî gelek projeyên nîcetperest ê sîstema hakim di Sûriyê de hatin ji alî rejîma Baas da. Meselen di 1962 da ev serjmêra yê istisnayî çêbû di wê demê da zêdetirî 250,000 Kurd ji hemwelatiyê hatin girtin weke ku ji bo xwe xeter didîtin.
There were many nationalist and racist policies brought on from the Ba'ath regime, specifically against the Kurds. Just for example, in 1962, over 250,000 Kurdish people were detained in action of Strauch.
هر وهاد 1973 پیرانا کمرا عربی پیش خستن لسر هرمن کردی هرمن روج آوا به مبست گوارتنا دموغرافیک ده هرمی دا چه بکن؟
کیشان سال بو تگود؟
73 و 74 هر دو ساله
in between 1973 and 1974 there was a systemic program of like Arabification in the Kurdish regions, and so there was a movement for demographic change and to change the population and the situation in the region.
جبوی ویجی لهمبری اف سیاستا انکار یا رژیم دستلادار یا نجات پرست د سوریه دا لهمبری به تفکر سیاسی یا کرد پیشکت و گلک تکوشین جبوی و مافنا به دست بخینن پیشکتن دری سوریه دا.
And so against these nationalist, racist and oppressive politics from the state, the politics of the Kurdish people advanced in a different way, and a huge struggle was made to resist these politics for the Kurdish peoples.
وەکو هەرکەس دەزانێت و دەمەها ئادار 2011 وەکە شورشی گەلان دە هەرێمیدا دەست پێ کرد و یەک ژێ لە سووریە دەست پێ کرد دەنگێک گەل بلند بوو لە دژی ئەv ڕژیما دەستپۆت یا یەک دەست یا یەک ڕەنگ لە دژی وێ سەرهەڵدانێک گەلان دەست پێ کرد و دناو ڤا سەرهەڵدانە دژی گەلێ کورد ڕۆژئاوا دا دەست بە سەرهەڵدانێ کرد ku bikanibê
as it's widely known, as everyone knows, in 2011 the popular uprisings and the people's revolutions emerged, and this was also taking place in Syria. And so in Syria the people were standing up and uprising against the despotic regime, against the kind of monocultural regime, and within this the Kurdish people also stood up to take their rights.
بڤێرەنگی 2012 تیرمە هێدا دەست پێ کرد هەرێمن ڕۆژئاوا ji saziyên ewlekariyê saziyên rejîma Sûriyê paqijkirin û hêdî bixwe saziyê xwe çêkirin, meclisê xwe çêkirin, hêdî bixwe herêmê xwe rêva birin.
And so following on in 2012, on the 19th of July, after the regions had been cleared of the state security forces, the beginning in the Kurdish region of Rojava, the people announced their own assemblies, their own organizations, and their own autonomous organization.
جبر کو کرد و جواکا کرد ریخستن کری بو تکوشینک وانی سیاسی بسالان هبو گل کرد پیشنکیش بو شورش 19 تیرمه کر و دوره همو پیکاتین ده هرم اب کردارا جیان دکن وکا عرب سوریان ترکمن ارمنی هر کس بخارا کرن هفکار و شریک جبوی سازی و مجلس و ریوبریه که هرمی آوا کرن به هفرا کرن بینا.
Because the Kurdish people had already been organizing for many, many years, they were able to play a leadership and a vanguard role within the revolution of the 19th of July. But it was something that came about with the cooperation of all the different peoples of the regions, Arabic, Assyrian, Chechen, Turkmen, and because it was something where people were working together, they were then establishing their own neighborhood assemblies, their own commune systems.
The داویه 2013 ایدی بشکل که فرمی وک ریوبریا خسر لهرمن روجاوای کردستان اعلان کرد.
At the end of 2016, the autonomous administration was officially announced in the different regions of Rojava.
Ev ریوبریا خسر لسر هفکاری و جیانا هفشی همو گلن ده هرمی دا به هفرا اف ریوبری هاد دامزراندن.
The autonomous administration was built upon the cooperation and the shared communal life of all the different peoples of the region, and so on this same basis it was announced to the world.
قال عرب قال سوريان قال تركمان وأرمني وحمو أولن باوريان ديتر يك وهني وكيزدي خريستيان هركز دنا في بروجي دا جيجر.
All the different peoples took their place in this system, in this project, including the Arabic, Assyrian or Turkmen, and also all the different religions, whether it's Yazidi, whether it's Islam, whether it's Christian, took their place in the building up of the new project.
بالبالكو باوريا ما قناعته ما مازن بو ما دقوت اگر جانا هفباش نوبر حمو قالان دا تشي نبه وقال حمو بهاف رجان نكن ممكن ام بكان بن بروجيك ديمقراطيك ابا بكن و ام راست نابين جنوبا كو ام وگرن سيستمك يك رنگ ويك نتوك دستلادار پیش بخين وك دولتان تو.
So we believed really, really strongly that if we were not able to build up a system of cooperation and a democratic system shared by all the peoples, then we wouldn't be able to build up a democratic system at all. And we really were determined not to return to the one color, one flag system of the oppressive state and to do something different.
The project هر پیکاتی هر چاند هر اول خودی رول و میسیونه هر وها جن دوی پروژه در رول که پیشنگ دلیزه همو سازی و دزگه هم ریبی ج هف سروک ده هف سروک پیکتن یک جن یک میر به شکلی اف سیستم ریواده چه.
And so in this new system, every ethnic group, every peoples all have their role to play. And within all of these organizations, within all the different levels of organizing of autonomous structure, what's playing this really important vanguard role is also the co-chair system. So in every leadership position, you have one man and one woman, and this is a really important aspect of the system.
پشتی 2014 ارشن داعش لسر هرمی چه بون پشتی برخودانی کوبانی و سرکفتن دو کوبانی دا چه بو هدی هز ما وکی یا پجه دست پیکر هدی گلک هرمن دیتر جه رخصنا داعش هاتن رزگار کرن هر وها هرمن ربابیا خود سر فرابون گشت بو هفت هرم چه بون هرمن ربابیا خود سر.
After 2014 and the attacks of the Islamic State, and after the victory in Kobani and the victory of the YPJ and YPG forces, this was something that began to spread more widely than Rojava as other areas became liberated from ISIS and formed for their own self-defense. And so we then established that there were 7 regions of the autonomous administration across North East Syria.
نا ایدی وک هرمن باکور وجلات سوریه جهفت کانتونا پیکته زیادتری 5 میلیون انسان لوی داره جهمو پیکاتیان به هفرا جان دکن.
And today in North East Syria there are 7 different cantons, like large regions, with more than 5 million people from all different ethnic groups, all different cultures living together.
ابر ببریا خسر پیمان کوی جواکی هيا دنابر حمو گلن با کوروجلات سوریه دا وک دستور هرمیه.
There is the social contract in place across all of North and East Syria, which is an agreement between all the different peoples and all the different regions.
اف پیمان جواکی گرینگی دده خسریا هر هرمه که گرینگی دیده سیستم نناوندی کودوا چرچوه سیستم نناوندی نج بو که هر هرم بکنه به خسریا خوابه پارزه و بکنه به بخوا خاره و به.
And this social contract, like a constitution, is giving a huge amount of importance to the autonomy of every region and to decentralization, so that every region can manage and run things in the best way for themselves.
جاردی د اپ پیمان جواکی دا باکو رجلات سوری وک بشکی ج سوریا گشتی دبینه نکو وک دولت نتا وک جدا وک پرچکی جدا دگرده است.
And within the social contract and in general, the North and East Syria is also understanding itself as a part of Syria, not as a separate nation state or something like this, but as a part of Syria.
جادی پیمان جواکی گرینگی داده که چاوا جواک با کروجاتی سوری به خودی اراده که سیاسی و چاوا بخوا تبلی بریار بده و بخوا خا اداره بکه وی شکلی خبر خستن دکه جی کومین حیان مجلس باجاران حیان مجلس کانتونان و مجلس با کروجاتی سوری.
And the social contract is giving a huge amount of importance to how the people of the region can express themselves politically. And so coming from the bottom up in this form of organization, from the commune to the assemblies to the level of the autonomous administration of North and East Syria, it's addressing the question of how people can organize for themselves by themselves.
جاردی د کنترکتا ما في همو پیکاتا ما في جن ما في زاروکان همو ما في مروان گورو پیمان و لهواتن ناف دولتی گور و پیوانه د پاریز خودی لیداد کبه.
And within the social contract, the rights of all people are defended. So men, women, children, everybody, the basic human rights are defended within the social contract.
هر وها اب کنترکت ری ده کو سیستم که دموکراتیک به پیشنگی جن و جوانان ده باکروجلات سوریدا پیش.
The social contract is opening the way so that a democratic system with women and youth in the leadership can develop in North and East Syria.
بگمان ایرو ربیبیا خسر باکروجلات سوریه سر چند آستان جمعیدیسان پیکتی به شکلی خواه ریواده به.
Of course, we can see that at the moment the system of autonomous administration in North and East Syria has like some obstacles in its path, and we need to see how we can overcome these for self-management of the people.
مجلس گندان و تاخان وقت دست پیدا که حیان مجلس ناحیان و باجاران حتی مجلس کانتونان.
So starting always from the village and neighborhood assemblies until the regional or citywide ones until the level of the bigger regions, the cantons.
دوی سیستمی دا مجلس کومین و کومین اساس جبکو سیستم ریوا ببه د تاخد یا د گنده همو پیکاتی دبن اندام کومینه و دوی کومینه دا 6 کمیته هنه به پرزگری که کومینه تاخیان گنده مجول دبن.
And the essential element of this is the commune organizing at the neighborhood and at the village level, that everyone from all different social and ethnic groups are becoming a part of the commune's organizing. Within the commune, you have 6 different committees always who are concerned with solving the different problems at the local and commune level.
وک کمیته خدمت هست، کمیته تندرستی هست، کمیته پرورده هست، کمیته جن هست، کمیته پاراستن هست.
Sorry. There you have the committees of the basic needs and services, of health, of education, of women, of youth, of self-defense.
طبعا هر کومین دا آست خواهد پرسگری که کوهنی چاره سر دکه لسر دسکنه یکو جه مستر به نکان به چاره سر بکه برکه نونرین کومین خواه حواله مجلس جور خواه دکه مجلس جور دا به نقاش کرن و بریار بگفتن.
And so of course every commune is working really hard to solve its own problems at the level of the commune and to be self-sufficient in this. Where it's not possible to come to a solution in the commune, they are sending representatives to the next level where they can be discussed and a decision can be worked out at the next level of democratic organizing.
ببینید بوکا زیاده درج نکم چونکی مجار گلک برفریه از دخوازم دسته مجار دیجی بیجم اکو ایرو لبرانبری ما وک پرزگریک درد کبن هوله هنه.
Sorry I don't want to go on for too long. This is a really broad topic and we could talk for ages. I would like to bring 2 or 3 more topics to light which are about the problems and the obstacles that we're currently facing.
وكاكو هركز دزاند ناب پروژه رببریا خسر دا پرزگریک همو پیکاتیان یک جه کرد تینه چاره سر کرن مافقای روا به دست خینن.
As everyone knows, within the system that we have, the different people are trying to solve their problems and to take their rights for themselves.
جبوی ویجی اف سیستم دستلادار لترکیه دبه رژیم شامی دبه رژیم ایرانی دبه رژیم نجات پرستی کو مافی گلی کرد انکار دکر و یه کو گوهرتن دموکراتیک قبول ناکن ایرو و رژیمانا به هفرا لدیجی و پروژه نوا تکوشینه که دانه.
And so of course the oppressive powers in the region, whether it's Turkey, whether it's the regime of Damascus, whether it's the regime of Iran, those who deny the rights of the Kurdish people and those who resist a democratic transformation in society are seeing this as a threat and there is a backlash against the system, against our project.
کو هرکس دشوپینه دم کو جوینن گروپا آستانا چه دبن ده هر جوین دا قرار هفبش هنه کو چاوا لدیجی هرمن ریببری خسر لدیجی قصده به هفرا کار بکن رغم کو خلافوانی سیاسی پرمزنن لی اما دما کو دبه خسری و کرد لدیجی اینا به هفرا لحف دکن.
As everyone can clearly see, whenever there is a meeting of these states and groups, they are collectively turning against the autonomous administration and against the Syrian democratic forces. No matter how much disagreement and struggle they may have between them, they will join together against the system of the autonomous administration.
شوازن لشکری به شوازن سیاسی دیپلماسی شوازن راگاندن شوازن آبوری همو هول دادن کوچا بکن بن افری ببلی خسر و پروژه کوهی هاتی آبکن وینا تک ببن.
And so we see today that with everything in their power, whether it's through military means, whether it's through press means, whether it's through diplomacy means, whatever it is, they are doing whatever they can to defeat the system of autonomous administration and democracy.
کو ایرشن دولت ترک ایرو لسر هرمن باکر وجلات سوری ایرشن کو براستی حیاتینه دخوازن هبونا گل ما و دستکفتن کو هنی تماما جهول راکن و ایرشن داوی و حرکتی شوپان چاوا بناسازین هرم همو کرن آرمانج بشکل که سیستماتیک و با آرمانج کو نهل بن کس لوید جان بکه و آرمانج کو اف پروژه نکن بخال سر لنگا بگره و بردوام بکه.
And so specifically we can see that the attacks of the Turkish state that are coming today on our region are to destroy the existence of our people here. Not only this, but to make sure that all the achievements of the projects that we've built up are unmade. And so they are doing everything within their power to undo the achievements that have so far been reached.
آلیا که دیتر جی رژیم سوریه رژیم ایران جاردی هنک خباتان دکن هنک گروپا دستک دکن دام دکن جبو کو بکن بدنا بر پیکاتن هرم دا فتنه چه بکن وکا کوشته دنابر کرد و عرب دا هنک پرزگریکا درخینن کو آلوزی چه بکن و دا انجام دا جی رببلی خسر نمینه.
Then on the other hand, from the side of the Syrian regime or the Iranian regime, we see that the state is really putting pressure on the project, and specifically also in creating division and problems between different ethnic groups, so that if they can create chaos and crisis between, for example, Arabic and Kurdish peoples, then the project will not be able to succeed.
بویرنگی ایرشن پر دجوار لدیجی هرمی مهنه لأف جانا هفباش أف پروژه دموکراتیک یا کو هایی یا کو دبه چاره سریج بو همو پرزگریکن سوریه کو هایی را خالوا پروژه دموکراتیک خاران ناگرن به همو شوازن دخوازن تیک ببن.
And so there are particularly brutal and offensive attacks on our system from all sides on this system of communal life, shared life, and a shared project. And nonetheless, the system is continuing, but they're doing everything in their power to overcome and to defeat it.
عالیه که دیتر هرم باکور جلات سوریه هینا دنوا تکوشینه که لدیجی ترور و داعش یا کو بر تکوشینه که مزن دا جبر مروواهی و سرکفتن و دستکفتن پر مزن خستن دستخوادا به پشکیجی کوالسیون ناف دولتی.
On the other hand, in the areas of the autonomous administration, we are still in a struggle against terrorism and against the Islamic State, where before we were successful and victorious, in fact, for all of humanity, the struggle is still continuing.
جبوه ام دبیجن ایرو باکروج لاتی سوری دستکفته که نه دستکفته هرم روز آوات تنیه دستکفته که یه آزادی و دموکراسیه یه مروباهیه و هر کس خودی لیدر که او پیشگیری بده.
And so for this reason we can say that the achievements of Rojava today are not just an achievements for the areas of Rojava, Syria, they're in fact an achievement for democracy and for freedom. And so everyone has to see themselves in this and stand in solidarity.
راستی نمونه که جتونه دهرمی دا لکیلا که مد سوری دهرمی دیتر دا لسر ناسنامه لسر اول لسر باوری لسر زمان تین قتل کردن تین کشتن لفقط دهرمی مدا اب همور رنگ به هفرا جان دکن به هفرا هرم آخر ریبا دبن.
And it really is an important example. We can see very, very clearly that in neighboring regions there are attacks and violence based on religion, based on ethnicity and all of these things, and it's only in the region under the autonomous administration where different social groups are living together peacefully.
براستی پیشگیری هرم پیوسته دا عالی سیاسی، عالی معنوی، دا عالی آبوری، دا عالی انسانی، حتی دا عالی لشکری و حقوقی دا جبو ایرو گلک پروبلم هنه به وی شکلی دندر هرم دا جان دکن و جبو که او پروژه خالصر لنگا بگره و به پروژه که ماینده دوی کی پشگیری به همو شوازان بکرن جبوی باکروج لات سوریه.
And it's really truly the case that solidarity is needed in this moment so that this project can survive and can be successful at the material side, political, diplomatic, to the point of rights and legal. Excuse me. In order that this project can stand on its own 2 feet and can be successful, there needs to be broad solidarity so that it can become something lasting.
از سپاسیا و دکم، از بداوی دکم، از گلک سپاس دکم که و ام گودار کرن به سنگک فره.
I'll finish there and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Bedran, Kurd. And I want to hand over to Nourshan, Hussein, who is also sending us some pictures and presentations.
اجي دسبيكي دا سلاف رزي خاد جارك دنجي هر كسي ردشينم وازي ديركت تكفم ناف presentation اخوان.
I will also first of all thank everyone and send more greetings, and straight away let's get into the presentation.
Presentation جهر كسي واتي ديتن.
Can everyone see?
بله.
Anyway.
نها يعني تشتكوا بريز بدرانجي قوتية وصاب أوايكي بكرتاسي ديروكا قالي لباكور رجلات السورية وشاوانية أفكرنا ريبرية خسر شيرو فكر أجي نهاد خوازم بحثا شورشا روجافا بكم نماكو أم دبيجن شورش.
So now, after Bedran has beautifully shared some of the history and how the system of autonomous administration was built up, I want to build on this and discuss a little bit also what the Rojava revolution means and why we say revolution.
هذا ما أم دبيجن ده ما أم بحث الشورشة الرجافا دكن أم الدرجة يكمين ده بحث الشورشة هشمندي دكن ياكو جواكي دناب جوهرتن وجوهرتن دا.
So when we speak about the Rojava Revolution, first and foremost, we're talking about revolution in consciousness, something that can bring a transformation in society.
جبركو برسجريكا مايا بنجهين برسجريكا دسهلاداري هجموني نتو برستي بابتقالاري أبوريا لسر قزنجا زيدية.
Because the fundamental problems that we face are the problems of oppression, the problems of patriarchy, and the problems of an economy that is based entirely on the greatest gain and the profit motive.
جبويجي چارەسەریە هەر و ئەم پێکانینە عەدالەتە جواکی سیستەمەکە نە ناوەندی پڕئالی ئازادیە ژن و ئابووریە ئەکۆلۆژیک یا کۆمینال بگرن دەست.
And so the solution has to be that we are understanding and building up a system based on a social economy, based on women's freedom, based on pluralism.
نها أف صورتك وندبينن صورتك جكومينجهكية دتاخكي وكل رجلات سوريا مروفين جلكي نورمال يكو دناوا جواكي دانا تجاري ريفابرتيا خوا نكرنا نها بنا اندام كوميني وخوا ريفادبن جنومير كيلكاف.
So we're looking at this photo, which is from a commune, the place of the commune in a neighborhood in North East Syria. Is very kind of normal and standard. And you can see that these are just normal people, those who never surrendered the management of their lives to anyone else. Now they come together, men and women together, in order to run their lives.
اف دايكن كنا هاون بالصورات دبينن دما الرجيم السوري دا تجاري ما فيواني وبريارة سرجيانا خابدن تنبون و دناوا چار ديوارا دا تاني خزمتا مالا خوا دكرن نها خزمتا تاخا خوا و سياستي دكن.
The mothers that you see here, in the time of the Syrian regime, they had no rights and were confined between the four walls of the house. And now they are out, instead of serving the household, they are serving the neighborhood, their society, and wider politics.
نهاد خوازم لسر هناك سازي ورخصتنين باكور رجلات السورية يجواك السبيل بأخذهم.
And I want to talk a little bit about some different organizations, institutions in civil society in North East Syria.
راستيا كو هاتيا أفاكرن أف شورشا جواكي وأم بحثي دكن راستيجي ببراني يعني تشتاكو برد دما ريجيما مركزية سوريا دا بقشتي شورشا جواك بروفاجي كر.
We can really say that in general, the new system that's been built up and the social revolution, what was in place before with the system from the Syrian government regime has been transformed and reversed. So the opposite has been set up.
نها بالسردان سازين جواكي شاردارين جل تفجرين ديمقراطيك تفجرين فيمينيست اكولوجيست كوبراتيفين آبوري ريخستن وصندقين آزاد هنا.
Now we have hundreds of different organizations, the people's municipalities, democratic organizations, cooperatives, feminist organizations, ecological organizations, and workers' unions.
وبحزارا كومين هنا وبده حزارا جي اندامن صندقيان هنا.
Thousands of communes and tens of thousands of unionized people.
أبسازين جواكي لقل مجلس ودستين ريبابريا خسر دهما هنجي وكورديناي دانا.
And these institutions are coordinated through the different people's organizations and the autonomous administration.
مناك جبو باراستنا هندرين دروشا آلوز دا كوتي دا تيجيان كن باش بيكورا اف باراستن باش بيكورا لكيلك هيزن او لكاريا هندرين ياكو ناوي أسايشة هيزن باراستنا جوهري هبجا هاتيا أفاكرن.
So, for example, for security and self-defense in the times of chaos that we're living in, yes, on the one hand, we have the internal security forces, or known as Asaish, but also alongside that, very importantly, you have the essential self-defense forces, or community protection forces, HPC.
نها صورتا كوتي خويا كرن اف هيزن بارستنا جوهرينا جنين نورمالين جواكي دركتنا جبو نوبداريا خوابكن.
As you can see from these photos, the community protection forces means normal women from society coming out in order to take care and defend and establish security of their place in their society.
نها يعني اميناك كدوي مجارده بدن تقاسي اف هيزن بارستنا جوهري جرينجا بسالة 2020 دا قالك زوين جنم بدستين شانين داعشي وشانين جريداي تركيا وريجيمي هاتن شوتاندن.
We can give an example of just how important this form of community self-defense is. In 2019, a huge amount of wheat fields were burnt at the hands of ISIS and other gangs, so many sent by the Turkish state.
وزرارة كمزن أفتش تشكر لبلة إيصال هبج بريار داكو زفيان بدلخوازي بباريزة وأفبو سدما بالتمامي بارستنا سزونا جنمي.
This was a really dangerous thing, but this year, in these times, the community protection forces gave the decision that they would protect the wheat fields, and this became a central tenet of their work to protect the wheat fields that are growing food for the community.
هروها أم جبيرنا كن كو رولا هبجي دبويرا رافا كوش حبسي داعش دركتية قرتيجها غويراني دا بري 2 سالان قالك رولا كي جرين جليسن كو لسر روشي كنترول بكن.
The community protection forces also played an essential role 2 years ago when there was a huge breakout from one of the prisons where many ISIS fighters are held. The community protection forces played a really important role in controlling this.
از باور دكم يعني بريز بدرانجي بحثا روشا جنكر يعني ام دكارن بيجن روشا جن تباكر رجلات السورية دا وك الشورشكة دنافا شورشكة دا هات آفاكرن.
I think that Bedran also spoke well about the situation of women, but we can say that women's role within the Rojava revolution is a revolution within the revolution.
ده حمو سازي ومجلس وكومين وحمو خستن عندها سيستما هفسروكاتي بيكتي هفسروكاتيا بارتيين سياسي حتى هاتيا تشكرن هروها تمثيليتا كوتا سدي بنجي حمو برلمان جل ومجلس عندها هاتيا بيكاني.
The co-chair system is in place at all levels, in the communes, in different institutions, in the assemblies, in political parties, and at every level of social organization has been brought about and put into practice.
لها أف وينايا كو دبينن أف وينايا هيزن بارستنا جنا كو دو أركن خوي سركة هيا بارستنا ولات خواج إيريشين دجمن وبارستنا جنان إيريشين دسالاداريا بافك سالاريه.
This picture that you see is the Women's Defence Forces, which has 2 essential duties, and one is the defence of their land from external attack. The other is the defence of women from attacks of the patriarchy.
يعني أم دكارن بيجن أف هيز دجيهاني دهات ناسكرن وبوجي درا إلهامي دماكو بدستا فان جنين جوان أورغانيزاسيون داعشي د كوباني دهات شكستن.
We can say that these forces have become famous across the world, become an inspiration across the world, most of all when it was the YPJ who broke the forces of the Islamic State in Kobani.
نها أف وينايا كون دبينن جو كوبانيا ورخصتنا تفجرا جن دديني شاندان يعني آلين تفجرا جن دس فكرنا و دوردا قالك قانون وجهرتنا جواكي بخورتنا آوابون يعني زواجا بتشوكان قد خيا برجني قد خبو قانون الجريداي مالباتي بشتي ج دما رژیم سوریه هاتن گوهرتن و ما في جنان و زاروکان شین بربو.
The picture that you see here is from Kobani, of some of the many women's organizations who are working hard also to change the rights of women and children. It's now written into law, for example, that underage marriage is illegal, or that polygamy is illegal, and really all of these laws that were in place during the time of the Syrian regime that were taking away women's rights are being reversed, and the rights are being enshrined for women.
کوپاراتیفین گریدای جنان هاتن آواکرن و اف کوپاراتیف نوک NGO کاردکن لبله دناوا اسکلته ریوبریا خسر دا دکومین و شارداری آندا دحمو جواکی دا با آوائی کی وکیری خبر خستن کرنه.
Many co-ops, women's cooperatives have been set up as well, and these are not working like your kind of NGO model, but are actually working for people to organize themselves and be in charge of their own self-organization, their own economic autonomy.
نها افوینا کوین دبینن لآلیه چپه پرورده دلخوازی یا زانستا جنولوژی لگندان تیچکرن.
This picture on the left is an education from the science of genealogy being made in a village.
وينايا راستي جي اف جنن بكاتيا عرب كومبونا ودخيانيه كيش بوي مجارك ددن وافتي واتيكو دغهرتنا جنن عرب باوايكي جلكي بلز دفي سيستمي دهات تشيكرن.
And on the right, this is a group of Arabic women coming together to make a statement regarding to some particular issue, and it's showing that really within the Arabic women's communities there's a huge, a very big transformation in a very short time has been made.
نها مروف كارب بيجي يعني أبوريا أكولوجيك دا آلية كدن دا نافا سيستما شورشا رجاوا وريبريا خسر دا جلكي لبيشة وكختك سركة تبيتن.
On the other hand, we can say that an ecological economy is seen as a particularly important topic for the autonomous administration, and is something that is being put front and center in the organizing.
مجارك برزح متى جبركو أم دجيهانك كابيتاليستا جيان دكن در دورا ما دور بيجا 12 سالن أم دا أمبارغو يكيدانا.
This is a particularly difficult topic because we live in the capitalist society, a capitalist world, and because we have been surrounded and under sanction for the last 12 years.
سوق لسر بنجها قزنج كرني وتجارتها شرط بريدا برن.
And there is the market, the global market, which runs entirely on the profit motive and on the benefits of war.
لدناوا في روشيدا بيك أنينا برنسيبن أبوريا جواكي وأكولوجيك خبطاندن بسري خوا وكشورشة كتابتن.
But even within all of this, the realizations of the ecological economy and the principles and values of that in themselves are like a revolution.
نها مجلك جاف آفتنا جبوي باراستنا خزاية وصندقين كتكار وجودكاران ونها بلان سازية كي چاندنا 5 مليون داران هرمن ريفبريا خسر هاتية دست بكرن وأف مجارك وك مجوتية نهي سانك بكوري.
And so now we have made huge steps in unionizing of agricultural workers, in ecological plans. There's a plan to plant 5 million trees within the region of the autonomous administration. As I said, like none of this is easy to do, to bring about.
هروها وكيدن لآلية كيدن قال أم بحث السازي وصندقايا بكن أم دكارن بيجن دنافا سرجميريا 5 مليون إنسان عنده نيزي 5,000 كس أندام صندقة هنا.
And if we look elsewhere in terms of unions and trade unions, we can see that within these 5 million people, Chicas kes andaman sandikay?
5,000.
5,000.
35
As is it? We have 350,000 people are members of a union.
عندما صندقة يعني صندقين alternatifin نجري داي آمور مركزي دولتنا بأوايك آزاد رخصتنا خوا أفادكن وخوا وأبوريا خوا دقرندست أفوينا يكون دبينن لوجوين براني سازين كو بمرة كاردكن صندقة.
And these different unions or institutions are of an alternative kind. They're not connected to the tools of the oppressive system as it exists at the moment. Or this picture that you're seeing now is different symbols of different institutions that are all working together under the umbrella.
لآلية راس تيجي نافي وان هنا هر يك جي بأوايكي خوجهي خبري خستن دكي لجوري تايبة من ديا هرمي والدبلوماسية خوجي بسر بخوا تيتكي.
On the right, you can see all their different names, and they all work autonomously according to the region, according to their own specialty and topic, and are also all making their own relationships.
يعني إنها مجارك دنجي هيا خوازم بحث بكم روشا خواندن دبستان وخواندنا بلند لروجافا از باور دكم اف مجار بسري خواد بمجاركي تايبت يعني قاشكي جدا.
I want to talk a little bit about another topic now, which is the education and higher education system in Rojava. I think it's such an important topic that it really brings a different kind of discussion.
انها پرورده لسر بنگها پرورده هي alternative هاتیه آواکرن جاره یکمین دیروکا سوریه ده ما في هر کسی یه خوندنا بزمان دایکا خواه هیا.
And so I know education has been set up on the basis of an alternative education system. This is the first time in Syria that everyone has the right to go to school and be educated in their mother language.
وزانینگه جی با آوه کی سربخوا خبره خستندکن یک جو فاکولتین هری تایبت ین دباکر رجلات سوریه دا فاکولته جنولوژیا یا کو زانستا جن و که زانسته که جواکیه alternative بریوه دبه.
And the university as well is organizing itself. One particularly important faculty within the university is genealogy, which has its own faculty as the Women's Science for Revolution.
يعني هجرون مرق بكن أم دكارن في مجاري وكا وبناري كي تايبات لسر مجاري شي بكن دما بيش.
If people are interested, we can make this topic specifically for another seminar in the future.
هروها أم بتشن مجاري آزادية أولان در روجافا دا أفجي جلكي جرينجا جبركو أم دزانن حمو شر بفشون النهاتين جيان كرن تايبت نها كراسة لإسرائيل وفلسطين تجيان كرن بنجها خا يعني برستيا أولية أفجي جلك مجارك خطرك وأم دكارن خوازن چاره سر بکن.
So now we come to the topic of religious freedom. This is a really important topic because we can see that there are many wars and clashes in various different places, and they're having at their root this question of not religion but religious fundamentalism. This is a really important topic which we want to come to a solution for.
حمو أول وكهفتين بجراندن دباكو رجلات السورية دا وناسنمايا أولي ومذهبي ما في هر كسية ويكا أولو باورين ميزوبوتاميا هاتيا أفاكرن.
So every religion is seen as equal in North and East Syria. Everyone has the right to practice their religion, and religious identity is something that is celebrated. And there is an organization of religions of Mesopotamia.
نها يعني أفيكيتي حمو أولان وكهف دقريدست حتى كسن بي أول دي ساجي دباريزي وما في وان ين باوريان ناستكي.
This union, this organization sees everyone's religious rights as equal, and all the different religions, including people who don't have a religion, their right is also defended within it.
أفتشتكي دروجهلاتا نافين دا بلكي جاري يكمين دا شورشا روجافا دا بيكتي.
Perhaps this is the first time that something like this has ever emerged in the Middle East in the midst of the Rojava Revolution.
نها ام بحث سازی و رخصتنی جواکی ین خو يعني وقت بلاتفورما جواكا سبيل أم خو بدن ناسكرن.
We can talk a little bit now about the civil society organizations, platforms for people's diplomacy, such as the Civil Diplomacy Center.
نها يعني أزوك ريفبريا في بلاتفورمي دخبتم أفجي وكا سيفيل دبلوماسي سنتر وكا بلاتفورم كيجبوي أفاكرنا يعني خدانا ناسكرنا دربا وفكرن وجبوي تجربة هيزن ديمقراطيك بروغريسيف فير ببي وبدي فير كرن.
So I, for example, am a part of the work of the Civil Diplomacy Center, and the purpose of this is to establish external relations, to give ourselves known to the world, and to share the experiences of the forces and power of democratic organizing, to learn and to teach.
شخوا دبلوماسيا روجافا دا أستا كي جواكي وسيفيل دا تيمشاندن ند أستا دولتي دا تيمشاندن.
And this is something coming from the people, coming from society, not something at the level of the state.
برانسيبا سركا أوكو جواكن جيهاني وهيزن ديمقراطيك بروغريسيف بشورش الناس بكن اعتراف بكن وبشجرية بدني.
The goal is this, that people of the world who are democratic and progressive come to know this revolution, come to recognize it, and are able to give solidarity.
جبركو ام الترناتيفا كي جواكي آوادكن ام ج حمو جواكا رفكرينك و ام دستكيليا كي دانو ستاندني دابن.
So that we can build up an alternative forms of social organization, we need to reach out to all different peoples in society who are in this struggle and have communication and relationship.
جبوي شورشا روجافا تجربين قلن جداد نافا خدا دحاوينا وانجي وكا سنتزكي أفادك.
And so the Rojava Revolution is incorporating the experiences of many, many different peoples and making a synthesis.
دتفجرن alternative دا جرينجا أم فين بكن اللي جرينا خايا جهشتني دا جهشتنا كيجان آستي ودوي أم خاج آمورو إمكانن ين بارغالي ين ستاتوكو باريز أم خايا رجدار بكن.
We need to understand what level the freedom struggle of the peoples has reached, and our own systems and our own processes for liberation we need to rescue.
نها هر کس دکاره تبلی شورش روجاوا ببی هر کس یا شمندیا جواکی کو پیره هبه تبلی شورش روجاوا دبی او کس کو ام دکارن پیره بپجرینن کار بکن و پیوانا ما کنی اخلاقی و معنویه.
And so everyone can become a part of the Rojava Revolution. Everyone who has this mindset for society and for the liberation of society can connect with us in a way that is solid and that is lasting.
وهذا في شورشي جي خو باوربونه تي افاكرن جبركو ام خود سبيرن جواكا خود سبيرن هذا خو چاند خو حقيقه خويا يا اصيل يا رسن لسر عرضه جبوي ويجي هذا هاتيه افاكرن وهر كس دما تبلي دبي اف هيز هنا دبي گردوني.
So this revolution is based on the force of faith and of belief, because we have built up something here, and whenever someone is joining that revolution, that power and that force, it is multiplying.
مناك أفنيزي سالكيا أم بالسيستم مجلس انتخان يعني neighborhood councils را ين هندستاني وجين ديتر بكدا هفالين وكا جون باك و Father Edwin John وقالك هفالين هيجا ودلسوزرا أم دناف ديالوجكي سيستماتيك دانا.
So for example, for 1 year, we've been in a systematic dialogue with different neighborhood assemblies or local assemblies in India and in other places with the help of many friends and comrades such as John Buck and many other really worthy comrades, and we've been able to develop this dialogue.
And now we want neighborhood councils or parliaments.
Within neighborhood councils and parliaments, people's parliaments.
ما نقاش نقلك كور وزراف لسر مجرد ديمقراطيا جير بربجوركر مروشا كومين ومجلسا زاروكان مجلسا مزنان بهفدر الشيروفاكر.
We've had really deep discussions about democracy from below, grassroots democracy, from down to up, about assemblies for the people, assemblies for youth and children, as well as assemblies for adults.
مرو نشتنين تايبت لسر هف بيمانا جواكي ورزناميا كومينان تشيكرن وهناك جرا ما بدلكي فراه هفدو رخنكر.
We've had a lot of discussions about the social contract, about what it means to come together. At times we have also, with a great amount of love, critiqued each other.
نها سورة كوين بدينن سورة تقاسي بمدى دي خويا كرنكو نيزيكاتي دناوبرا برلمان انتخان نيبرهود كانسلز لهندستاني و برلمان يانجي كومينين روجافا دا تقاس شبهاندن هيا.
So these photos that you're looking at now just show the similarities between neighborhood parliaments in India and the commune or parliament system in Rojava. You can see just how much they resemble each other. It's really clear. On the left you have Rojava, on the right India.
نها يعني أخوازم تشتكي تفرد بيجم نها قلن ولاتن أوروبي وأمريكي وولاتن روجافي بس غريكا كي راستيجي يعني وكا كراستك مروفي جيان دكن أو جي بس غريكا individualism پرستية.
I want to say something here in particular. People from Europe, from America, and from the West in general are suffering really a huge crisis of humanity. The problem that we're seeing is individualism.
يعني مروف دمالن خدا دمرن جيران وان بينا حسن دما جيران لسر درنجا هفدو دبينن لروشة هفدو نابرسن.
Someone can die in their house and their neighbors be unaware. Neighbors can pass each other in the street and not find out how each other is doing.
وقت تراجيدية كي مروفاهي يا بدستي كابيتاليزمي هاتي أفكارن لسر جوابا.
In my opinion, this is a huge humanitarian tragedy and something that has been forced onto society by capitalism.
يعني برانسيبا هبش دنابرا سيستما روجافا وسيستما neighborhood councils دا بارستنا نرخين جوات بوينية.
The common principle between the Rojava system and the neighborhood councils system is the defense of sociability and society itself.
يعني أزباردكم لقلك ولاتن جيهاني أف نمونة تيكوشيني هنا دما امحموها فدو ناس بكن والهمبر هجمونية كابيتاليست تيكوشيني كهف بار بكن أمي قاف دريا أفاكرنا Confederalism democratic جيهاني دا بافيجن.
I believe that there are, in many countries across the world, there are these experiences, there are these lived experiences, and when we can come together and share and create a common struggle against capitalism, we will make a huge step towards a global democratic confederalism.
فرق ناكي كل سر كيجان بنجها يا هري أساسي كو أم بنجها يعني بنجها بنجهين أم أضابطن وكا لسر بنجها نتوا ديمقراطيك لسر بنجها سوسيوكراسي لسر جلك تيجين دن مروف كاري بيجل هفد وجريداي هر جواكي راستيا هر جواكي مروف دكاري دداوية د كونفدراليزم جهاني أضابطي.
It doesn't matter exactly which basis this is built on. The important thing is that we build together this fundamental basis, call it democratic confederalism, call it the sociocracy. What's important is that in all our different ways and different places people are organizing and that we can then confederate together in a democratic manner.
شخوا مجارة سوسيوكراسي مجارة كي قل كي لجمع مراقة كي مزن تكريا وأم تبلي في إيفنتي بوناج بويكو أم هنا باشتر سوسيوكراسي فام بكن وتجربة ينجي ور بقرن درس بقرن.
This topic of sociocracy is something that really interests and attracts us. One reason that we're joining this meeting, this gathering, is so that we can understand these concepts better and so we can move closer together.
يعني جبويكو از داوية دافي شيرو بابكم دكارم بيجي نمونايا كان هالباجار ديركي اف صورتا كون دبينن نمونايا كي الباجار ديركي هاتي افاكرن جبوي جهه كومبوينا كومينان بي تشيكرن اف هناك دوستن ما بمربون اليكار و افاكرن لبالي مخابن اف نمونا لجين ديتر يعني دوباره نبوش بركو روشا إريشان وروشا أمبارغو قلك زيدايا.
Coming to the end, I want to give this example in Derek, one of the cities of North and East Syria. They built a place specifically so that the communes can come together and meet. This is something where also the friends of our struggle were helping us, and something that we wanted to develop in many different places. Unfortunately, it has not been possible anywhere except Derek because of the situation of war and also the embargo, which continues.
يعني برنسيبا ما أساسي كو جيك قادك تم هبك وجواك بهفرة كومبكي برسجريكي خوش هفرة بيجن وبيكو سرلدان للدولة المركزي بكن برسجريكي خوا هرتم بخوا چاره سر بكن.
It's the basic principle of our system that there is somewhere where the communes can come together, discuss problems, discuss the situation for the community, and without having to make an application or ask anything of anyone, can ideally solve their own problems at that level.
از باور دکم دیک نقاش کبری بريز جون باكرا هات مشاندن حوالا ام رخنا کرن گوتن نونچما گلوور رونانن وایا ام گلوور رونشتینا لبلی جی ما باشتمنا.
I think that before there was a criticism coming from John Buck and from some other friends saying, why are you not sitting in a circle? Why are you lining up like this? And so now we've made this new place where people are seated in a circle.
نها اف بروجات تي سر راسكرن وام دخازن قلك جياجي تشيكن لبلي لبقوري ما نمهمكو ام تشاورو نشتنا يا مهمكو ام تقاسيج هبدو فهمدكن بهبدو هيستكن.
So this project is continuing in many places. However, we'd say it's not important how we sit, it's important how we understand each other.
نها يعني از داوية دخازن بيجم كو تشاوا اف شورشا روجافا اف تجربه موديلكي نشان دده د باکور جلات سوریه ده بی پاراستن و ایریشن کو بريز بدران بحث كريا كو ایریشن خطريه جهوله راكرني هيا ام تشاوا في بباريزن ام خديلي دركبن.
We now need to discuss a bit the aspect of defense of the revolution and how the revolution can survive the attacks that also Bedran was itemizing, how we can defeat those attacks, defend ourselves and have solidarity.
نها سال 2015 هندا کوبانه هزا داعشه یا کوج جهان بوبو کابوس هات شکاندن يعني د کوبانه هات شکاندن نرخاندنا و مجاره هنکی لگل ما جدايه.
In 2015 in Kobani, the forces of Daesh, which have become like a nightmare for the whole of humanity, were broken. And there are different understandings of this topic within our system.
نها قالك هس دبيجن بشتي مداخلة هذا كواليسيونا ناف دولتي داعش هات شكاندن افتشتكي نشاشة.
Some people are saying after the intervention of America and the international coalition, Daesh was broken and defeated. So this is something not exactly wrong.
ليه بلي برخدانا قالك كوباني بشجريا هزين ديمقراطيك ان درفا ان بروغريسيف للسرانسري جهاني خالك ديروكيبو.
However, the resistance of the people of Kobani, the resistance of freedom-seeking peoples from outside, and the solidarity across the world was something really new, something different.
اف ديروك دكدر دا خدا در خستن مشين درسي بروتستوين لكولان اوروبا لكولان حمو آلين جهاني كامبانياين بشجرية دنيا هجاندن و هشتكو يكي مجداري وكروجا كوبانيا جهاني وري راغاندن.
This date on which so many people came out in the streets, took a stance, organized across the world in many different places, has led to the 1st of November being declared World Kobani Day.
يعني نهاية نوفمبر وكروجا جهاني يا كاندنا داعشتي بيروز كرن سال بسال وأم دخازن في سوليداريتي هين برفره تربكن وجا نمونين هزين درفا هين فير ببن.
The 1st of November is celebrated as the day of defeating of ISIS across the world. We want to spread this celebration and solidarity even wider so that we can better learn from that history.
يعني إنها خطرية كتيجي ينكرن براستيجي جلكي مزنا ونتهني جلي باكو رجلات السورية دخينا بخطرية لبالي موديلاكو دبي إلهام جيهانيرا وهيفياكو شورشا رجابا أفاكريا أو دبن خطرية دايكو أف هيفي جيورش كاندن بلكي حتى 10 سال بلكي 5 سال بلكي 6 سال دنجي أف موديل درجلات نافين دا نكار بجسارتك وك شورشا رجابا بقري.
And so there are a lot of dangers facing the system being built up in Rojava today, and this danger does not just face the people of North and East Syria. Of course, it also is a question about this system that has become an inspiration for people all across the world. We need to ask the question if in 10, 20, 25, 100 years' time, the people of the world in the Middle East will be able to gather so much courage from something like the Rojava Revolution.
از دخوازم هنا كي داوية دا بحثا خودية في تورية بكم تورية Confederalism ديمقراطيك از باوردكم هركس فيلوسوف وريبري جلي كرد عبد الله أوجلان ناستكي.
I want to speak just a little bit about the theory behind the system. I think that everyone knows the philosophy and theory of the leader of the Kurdish people, Abdullah Öcalan.
أبويا 25 سال بكمبلوي كي ناف دولتي هاتيا رواندن زندانا إمرالية بنافا غرافكل بحر مرمرة تركيا هاتيا ديل قرتن.
It's now 25 years since the international conspiracy in which he was kidnapped and imprisoned, and remains in the Turkish island prison of İmralı, specially built for this.
التجربة كجيران دا جيان دكي ود خطري السرجيانوي حاليا هيا.
He's under an intense form of isolation, and there is even danger to his life.
نهاج بويكو أوجلان آزاد دوار بردان بده مليونان كرد ومروفين ديمقراطيك للسرانسري جيهاني دنافا بروتستو كدانا.
Tens of millions of Kurdish people and of people fighting for freedom and democracy are protesting all around the world in order for his release, for his freedom.
اف مجاركي بأوايكي راست بهاريكينا برخدانا الديجي داغر كري كولونياليزم نتاو بارستي وقركرني باغري دايا.
And of course, this struggle is absolutely connected to the struggle against nationalism, against genocide, nationalism, genocide, oppression, and violence.
أفراستي أم فيراستي دبينن قدما أوجلان أزاد ببي ورونانسا رجلاتا نافين ببي وك خونك بيك وري.
We see this truth that if when Öcalan is freed, there will be a light coming on across the Middle East, as if we are living in a dream.
يعني أمنها بمجاري بشاود الشبينن بديل قرتنا نيلسون مانديلا كو 27 سالات زندان دما وكتروريست هات راغاندن للداوية دا خلاطة نوبل يا أشتية قرت أف قلت مجاري كي دشبه مجارة أوجلان وزيدتر.
We see this situation in the same light as we can see the imprisonment of Nelson Mandela for 27 years. He stayed in prison, named as a terrorist. At the end of all of this, he was awarded the Nobel Prize. And so there are a lot of connections between Öcalan's situation and other situations like this.
يعني مروف دكاري بيجي بشتي شورشا رجابا تفجرا انترناسيوناليزمي كتا قناخا كينو مناك كامبانيين دايمي هاتن آواكرن لهندرو درفا خباتا خواتي كوشينا خوا بردوام دكن جبوي في موديلين.
We can say that since the system of democratic confederalism was built up in Rojava, international struggle has come to an entirely new stage. Internally and externally, thanks to this model, we've entered a new moment.
يعني هناك بلز وان كامبانيا نافي وان بكم rise up for Rojava, make Rojava green again, freedom for Öcalan campaign, defend Kurdistan against Turkish occupation, women defend Rojava, أبناء حمو بات كامبانيين دايمي مروف دكاري بريافان solidarity بكي و دكاري بوان راتي كافي تفجري از باور دكم مروف بشرا هيدا اف جي دكاري جهوالا رابشينه.
I'll just briefly touch on the ongoing campaigns and as different ways to show solidarity with Rojava. There's Rise Up for Rojava, Make Rojava Green Again, the Freedom for Öcalan campaign, Defend Kurdistan, and Women Defend Rojava. And through all of these campaigns, there are different ways to connect with and be in solidarity with the Rojava Revolution.
از گلکی و سپاس دکم کو و گهداری کر و از باور دکم هنکی مدرش کر بس از دخوازم پریزنتیشن خوب بداوی بکم به وینه کی جدایی کی جعفرینه او جی هرمه که داگر کریه نها دبن داگر کریا ترکیه دایا او دایک گرید قرکاوی دایا دخوازه وگره مال خوا و زیتون دست خوا کریه جبوی کو آشتیه دخوازه شر بسکنه.
I thank you very, very much for listening. I know I've gone on for a while, but I just want to finish my presentation with this woman from Afrin, which is an area which is now occupied. She's a mother of Afrin, and she stands here holding an olive branch, calling for the end of war, and so that she can return to her homeland.
داوی داجی یعنی ام دکارن بیجن جبوی کنتاکتی گلک تشتیمه هنا ام بخوازن پاروا بکن و ام آماده نجی حمو برسارا و گلک سپاس جوارا.
Here are all the different contact details that we want to share so that we can be in relationship. We're ready for any questions and we thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nourshan, and thank you, Bedran, for that really nice translation. And also thank Bedran for this presentation. So I'm opening the session for questions and answers to deepen and maybe to have a bit more picture forming of Rojava and their system and their models. So from you as neighborhood parliaments, as Sociocracy experts, what are the questions to be answered before we go into the other projects? So please raise your hand and ask your question. So Nate is one. I spotlight you.
Okay, hello. I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to hold off on bombarding you with questions. I think there are two major areas that I'm curious about. One has to do with the details of function, but I'm going to leave that aside for the moment. Because even though I'm curious about that, I can learn more about that easily in other places. But in this conversation today, especially because of the story that you're sharing about your struggle, I think it's very important for us to understand the special circumstances that you're living and working in. You know, that you are organizing in a failed state. You know, your Iraq failed you, Syria failed you, and Turkey is hostile to your existence. But there is this tension that I experience, which is that it is very important to me to support the Constitution of the United Kingdom, and this as a democratic society, and to support the Constitution of the United States and other nation states where I'm living, working, and organizing, while at the same time supporting the local organizing and empowerment of local communities. And so I'm very curious about what we can learn from the work that you're doing, and how much of the work that you're doing could be applied in other places where states have flaws, but are more or less democratic or intact. So I know there's a lot in that question, and I would love to hear. You're welcome to respond at any level that seems right to you.
Nourshan, would you like to answer?
Maybe Bedran want to answer, or
Bedran, are you here?
Sorry, maybe I could say a little bit more.
Spastikim.
Just about why, part of why I asked this question is, in the UK, I know that there are many people who are interested in your struggle, people who identify as anarchists, and there are many people who have a hard time seeing a possibility of, on one hand, having community autonomy, and on the other hand, living within a state. And yet, from my point of view, the only way that we have of moving forward is to support our democratic state and to lead and guide it from below. But that is because we have not been failed and attacked in the way that you people have been failed and attacked. So you see this tension. I'm wanting to offer positive guidance or ideas to people in the UK about how we can learn from you while operating in our circumstances.
Mm-hmm. So maybe there is an answer now.
Okay.
The dialogue, maybe also the dialogue we are doing afterwards. This might maybe the better place to have that.
I think Bedran is now ready to answer.
Okay, good.
Gelek spas dikim bu persawa u şirova ve rastî em jî haydarin ku wen û gelek însanên hêja bi baldarî û dixwazin fêm bikin sîstema me ku li Bakur û Jilatî Sûriyê pêş dikeve.
Thank you very much for your questions. Yes, we know that there are many very passionate people who are interested in understanding how we've developed our system in North East Syria.
Yani rastî sistema me gelek hûrgiliyê wê hene, gelek aliyê wê hene ku eger em li ser bisekinin nîqaş bikin, tabii gelek wext jê re lazim e mimkine ev wexta me têrê neke, me bi çend cumla û çend xalên sereke me anî ziman.
There are many sides and aspects to our system, which we need much more time to speak about. Of course, we just brought up some key points here.
Bêguman em ev sistema xwe demokratîk ê pir reng pir alî em pêş dixin, دناب هناك شرط ومرج زحمت دا ام پیش دخینن دناب ایرش السر ما هنه ام پیش دخینن دور پیچ السر ما هی دناب بنا دا ام ویتا کوشینه ددن.
And of course, we are advancing the system in some really difficult circumstances, this plural and multi-ethnic system under the situation of war and also of embargo.
جبوه تکوشینه ما دوالیه تکوشینه که می لدیجی سیستم نجات پرست یکو نخوازن ببن پروژه که ماینده و تکوشینه ما دهندر دا جی بردوام جبوی آوا کرنا سیستم دموکراتیک و لدیجی او چند و هشمندیه که بری رژیم دستلاتدار یه لشون خواهشتی دوی وارده جی تکوشینه که.
And so there are two sides to our struggle. On the one side, to the nationalist nation-state forces, which are trying to stop our system being built up. But we also have an internal struggle, the question of how to build up these democratic systems when we also have been conditioned within the system of oppression.
سیستم ریپبلیک خسر یعنی سیستم کنفدرالیسم دموکراتیک یا کو برز عبدالله اوجلان توریا و پیش خست اف سیستم لگوری تایبتمندی هر جواکه که هر جغرافیه که پیش دکه سیستم یک نرمه دکانه به همو ولاتان را دنابه همه هنگیه دابه.
The system of autonomous administration or democratic confederalism, that which Öcalan has so eloquently issued, is something that can be adapted. It's something that is not set in stone, and it's something that is according to the needs of every society which wants to use it.
تایبت لسر به هشمندی خو آواده که یعنی یک آواکرنا جواکه که دموکراتیک و جواکه که اکولوژیک و هر وها جواکه که کو و کبیا جن و مرد ده بدنابر همو هر دو جنساندان.
Fundamentally is built on these principles, on the consciousness and consciousness raising for a democratic society, for an ecological system and society, and a society based on equality between men and women.
بگومان اف پرسگریک یعنی جواک آواکرنا جواک دموکراتیک آواکرنا جواک که اکولوژیک و کهبیا جن و میر اف پرسگریک ده بن سیا سیستم کاپیتالیست مدرنیته دا پر کوربونه پیش کتنه بنا لولاتن روش آوا حتی آسته که پر لپیشن کورن هنه و هر وقت ولاتن روجلاتن نابین ولاتن آسی لحر دوری اف پرسگریک و که پرسگریک که مروباهی لحر دوری هیه.
And of course, this is something that is really a problem facing us. To build up a system truly based on democratic society, on ecology, and on equality between men and women is really difficult in the heart of the system of capitalist modernity and in Western countries in the West. Of course, we also face problems in the Middle East. Wherever we are, developing this kind of social consciousness is a big challenge.
جبركو إيرو حمو برسكريكن هني د جواك د الدنيا شاركانية خاج سيستما وهشمندية دولتنا تو دقره وإيرو كابيتاليستا مودرني لسر دولتنا تو تسلطدارية خا سيستما خا پیش دخينه وكا أوجبوه بنجها وقبل حد جهان بلغ بحمو آلي وي نيجاتيف.
Because all of the social problems that we see today are based in the nation-state perspective, and today also in capitalist modernity. And we can see that the nation-state has spread itself, perpetuated itself with many, many negative effects, and by spreading oppression wherever it goes.
جبوي فينا ام ديفيجن يعني انترناتيفا كابيتاليستا مودرنيت انترناتيفا وينا ديمقراطيا مودرنيتا كو ديمقراطيا مودرنيتا اوجي للسد كونفدراليزم ديمقراطيك رودنا وبيشخصنا وينا.
And so for this reason we're saying that the alternative to capitalist modernity is democratic modernity. And the way to develop this and to bring this about is to build up the systems of democratic confederalism.
دوکی پیک آنینا به سیستمی لجمع هنک پروبلم نخواهی جدا نه وک ولاتکی دیتر هبن وک کو ولاتک اروپا به یا ولاتکی آسیا دیتر به.
And so with us, in order to build up this system, there are a lot of problems and obstacles in front of us, specific problems to our situation, not like countries in Europe and countries in the West.
دبر لجمع هین زحمت تر به جبر کو براستی هشمندیا کودروجلات ناوین ده هایی و تایبت اولات در دوری ما ده عالی نجات پرستی ده عالی اول پرستی ده مذهب پرستی ده گلک حشک و دجوارن.
For example, in our situation, we have this the problem of the consciousness and the mentality of nationalism, of religious fundamentalism, and other kinds of fundamentalism are really, really strong and set in stone.
جبویجی پر فرصت ندانه قادا جواکا سیویل یا مدنی قادا سیویل یا مدنی پر خابری خستن نک پر نبوه ایراده برانبری و سیستم یک دست.
And so society has not organized itself against the monolithic system of oppression and not stepped into running its own life.
جبوی ویجی تکوشینا جبوی پیشخستنا و پروژه جمع هنگی دی زحمتی خواه هنه ممکن نوک ولاتکی دی تربن.
And so these are the problems in front of us in terms of developing the system further, and they're different to what they will be in other countries.
لی اموی باوری دانه اب پروژه وک پروژه کنفدرالیسم دموکراتیک بنگه چارەسەری هەموو پرزگریکن کویرو جواک مرۆڤاهی ئێشاوێ دکشنی بیا لە ئەوروپا دەبێ لە ئاسیا دەبێ ڕۆژهەڵاتە ناوین دەبێ دکانە دناوخوادا هەموو پرزگریکن هەنی چارەسەر بکە.
Nonetheless, we have complete faith that this project of democratic confederalism is something that can solve the problems of the people and society wherever it is, Middle East, Europe, Asia. It will allow people to solve their own problems.
Well, thank you. I would like to also give the room for some technical questions who are there. So thank you, Nate, for your question, and I would like to add Göran in the room to ask his question.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is about how the sociocracy works when you are making decisions that affect everyone. How are the voices of all levels of neighborhood circles has to involve?
اب پرس از باور دکم از دکارم برس بدم.
I think I can answer this question.
نها يعني هجر برسا جوران جبوي مجلسين تاخان ين باكور رجلات السورية مينا هيا جبركو وي جود سوسيوكراسي نها سوسيوكراسي للروجافا نينا سوسيوكراسي الهندستاني هيا بس أذكرهم لسر مجلسين باكور رجلات السورية بآخرهم.
That is if the question from Haval Goran is about the neighborhood assemblies in Rojava in North and East Syria. You said sociocracy, and just for clarity, sociocracy is what is practiced in India. It's not what the name of our system in North and East Syria, but I can answer for the neighborhood assemblies in North and East Syria.
نها يعني د چاته دا جي گوتيه چند اندام كومينه هنا هر كومينه از باور بكم جنابرا دوست حتى سيسد مالباتي جناب خدا دغري.
There's of course the question of how many members there are in a commune. I believe that usually in a commune there's between 200 and 300 families.
ام بخوازن كومين هين برا فرهتر ببن و اندام كومين كيمتر ببن جبوي كهين نزيكتر هببن بس لجوري درفتن ناف دستمة دهايا كومين بفي أوايتين أباكرن.
We want still to make the commune system to be spread more widely and the numbers in each commune to be smaller so that people can know each other better according to the opportunities and possibilities at the moment. This is what it looks like.
يعني إنها جارانتيا كو بيك عنينا بريارة جير بربجور سيستما كومينال كوهاتيا أفاكرن لسر أساسي بيشنيارا بريارا جالية مجلس جورتي ونقاش كرنا ويج مجلس جير بشرا بريار قرتن جالية مجلس جيرتي.
And so to ensure that the lines of decision making are coming from the bottom up, not the top down, everything is first going being treated at the neighborhood assemblies and at the lower levels. Only afterwards is it discussed and decisions taken at a higher level if needed, and then always can be reflected on and discussed again at the lower levels.
يعني إنها مجارك أم بخواز من مثلا مجار كومينة كي تشارة سر بكن أم بكارن دناف خدا دوت كومين أم نقاش بكن بشتبتشن شارداريا جندي خوايان جيت شارداريا نافشية دور دا تمثيلية كومينة بأواي كي فرميد شاردارية ده هيا جبوي ويجي جارانتي دبريارة دا تيساندن.
So, for example, if we're trying to solve the issue of water and how we provide water in the communes, we can come together as our commune, discuss and make clear what's needed. And then at the municipality, in say the neighborhood or the village, there will be an official representative from our commune who will make sure that those decisions from the lower levels are taken to the municipality.
يعني الفرق تشيا إنه هذا السيستم الدولة ده ما هالبجارتن شيء دبي هالبجارتن اللي صار أساسي هنا كاس دبن نامزد وكان كاس دبن مجلس لبالي هر كسي نادا دباجارة دا ناقرن دستخان جبوي شرشة رجابها أب جارانتي دي تمثيليتها هر حارتك دي جوري ده هيا.
And so what's the difference? The difference is that with your state system, when you have the election, you're selecting just a few people to become part of the decision-making process, the assembly or the municipality, whatever it is. But the vast majority of the people are not actually a part of those processes. The difference with the Rojava system is that we are including everyone in the processes.
Mm-hmm. Wow, thank you. Barbara had also a question. And Garen, I think there is some deeper thoughts you're having as well.
Thank you. Thank you for your answers. I am very impressed. Also, Bedran, that I now see we are on the right path. And it's not so different. Only the problems are different, but the way to come out of them, it's not so different. So I'm very happy to hear this. My most important question, and what I think what is a really a problem, what we do not know how to solve it. This is the party system. So my question is, how do you deal with the political parties in Rojava? Yeah, how does it work, and do they work together, or how is it? Do you elect representatives to parties, or do you elect representatives, people, the personal ones?
So who would like to answer that question? Bedran?
I just want to understand the question better. خبرت ترجمناك.
دبي اما كرت مثلا باش فهم نبو باش
تمام. دبي يجيبوا سيستم بارتيين سياسي او برسكريك ميا اساسي بالمي سيستم سياسية بارتيه نا ام تشاو تكلم في هذا سري بكين وهن تشاو نزيكا تيابش بو بارتيين سياسي تشيا او تشاو هالبجاتين تشي دبيان تشي نابي و نونرج بارتيين سياسي هنا يعني توننا هن تشاو في سيستم سياسي وكي سيستم بارتيين سياسي نزيك ببن.
tabii Pariaments Bakurujlat Suriye kanuna partiyên siyasî heye prensîp hene pîvan hene ku partiyên siyasî li ser çi esasî têne çêkirin gor wê her pêkhatê her herêm dikane xebata xwe yî siyasî bike pêş bixîne.
So in North East Syria, there is law and legislation around political parties saying on what principles, on what basis, and what values they are for, and to what purpose they should be put. According to this, all the different ethnic groups, peoples, communities can, if they want, put their perspective through the system of political parties.
Tabii partiyên siyasî ew jî dikevin hilbijartina birêkê hilbijartinan qaserî hecmê her partiyekê siyasî dikanin nûnerê xwe derbasî meclîsa bikin.
And so there are elections, and according to these elections, each party can put their representatives to one of the assemblies.
Lê di hemû meclîsa da yani meclis ne ji nûnerên siyasî tev pêkti beşê partiyên siyasî heye, beşên civaka sivîl heye, beşê jin heye, ciwan heye, ê serbixwe hene, teknokrat hene, yani ji beşên cuda cuda meclis pêk tên. Partî jî weke beşekî ji civakê ew jî birên hilbijartinê dikane derbasî meclisa bibe.
But the assemblies are not based around political parties. The assemblies have many different aspects to them. So there is the communes, there is civil society, there is women's organizations, there might be independent or technocrat representatives. So political parties are one aspect to society, and as such can have representation in the assemblies, but they are not, the assemblies are not designed around a political party.
Yani dixwazim bêjim yani her tişt ne partî siyasî ye civak bi hemû beşê xwe divê temsîliya xwe di meclîsa da bibîne.
So everything isn't going through the political parties. Society is representing itself in the assemblies, and therefore able to self-manage.
Li muxabin yani mesaheta demokrasiyê ya ku vekirî niha zêdetirî sê partiyên siyasî ruxsat girtinê ji îdarê Bakurujlat Sûriyê kar dikin.
But unfortunately, in this democratic space that we have the right to practice and to operate in North East Syria,
Partiyên Kurdî ne, partiyên Erebî ne, partiyên Sûriyanên her wiha yani.
Kurdish, Arabic.
As I learned in the past years, as more parties as you can have, it's better to work together equal in an assembly. If you have only two parties or three, it's more difficult. So I'm happy to hear that there are 35 parties.
Tyrji legorin nerina min bashtira ko partiyen pirin jbarko agar tene dudu yan sese zahmet tira az per kif washim ko sistemen partiyen siyasi au kas pir aliye.
Carna pirbûna partiyan jî dibe pirsgirêk û lehevkirin û tewafuk zû çê nabe. Yani viya jî bixara şêwazekî pir cuda cuda jî derdixîne.
Sometimes having so many political parties is also a problem. It's harder to come to an agreement. So yeah, there are different ways in which it creates issues.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this round. And now I would like to also introduce Joseph Rathinam to get a brief, Rojava and India were in contact with each other. So Edwin was having contact to you in Syria. And I would also like to get John back on the board to be able to have those different perspectives, as well as Nate Whitestone, who was together with Barbara Strauch and 60 other people at the SoNeC workshop and SoNeC Erasmus project for 2 years, where we were transposing the Indian sociocratic neighborhood system into the European area. So welcome everyone. So I would like to give also this area a space for you to just briefly say where you come from, and also what you're resonating with, what you have been heard from Rojava, and then we have a dialogue with each other to face the major questions. What's the next step, or what's the focus and the major questions we are having? So Joseph, you want to start to present India in a couple of sentences, so we have a picture
Yes.
and a perspective from your side? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Cornelia. And I won't take much time. Very briefly, I will explain how the neighborhood parliament works, so that our friends Nourshan and Bedran can understand how it works. Already they know, already they have heard about it, but still for this dialogue purpose, they can have a background idea how it works. And first of all, I am grateful to you, Cornelia, and Barbara and other team for inviting me to share. And my experience as a party politician, as I said in the beginning, I was very much disillusioned with the party politics. So I was perhaps studying the possibility of bringing people's politics instead of party politics. So that's how I just pumped in Father Edwin. Then we started working together in bringing these neighborhood parliaments. And neighborhood parliaments consists of 30 families in the immediate geographical neighborhood. Why we say 30? More than 30, it will be a crowd. Even the smallest voice should have an effective participative space, as well as an opportunity to serve the community in day-to-day governance. So that's why we have limited this into 30. And when we say neighborhood, everyone, it is inclusive. Everyone in the particular geographical neighborhood will be part of it and has to be part of it. And they come together and elect their ministers. All of them will be elected as ministers. Each one will be responsible for something or other. For example, we will have a prime minister to lead the group, then a parliamentary minister to take care of day-to-day meetings and the group's works. Then we will have a finance minister who takes care of the poverty issue of the neighborhood. Then we have a health minister, education minister, minister for disability, minister for environment issues, then minister for children, child safety and youth development, then minister for gender equality, minister for employment, minister for road and transport, minister for water and food, and minister for electricity, and almost minister for all the SDG goals, as well as some more ministers for, like minister for peace building and reconciliation, and minister for talent development and all that. And each one will be elected as minister in the sociocratic method of election. There is not democratical method of election where number is based and majority and minority and all that. No. Every minister is elected with a consent of 100%, including the person who is elected as a minister for that consent. They meet once in a week. Every minister, the work connected to that ministry. For example, if there is a finance minister, he takes a survey, how many families are there with less income in the neighborhood. And they fix a parameter to decide who is poor and not poor. Based on that, they take a survey, they put forward the result of the survey data in the meeting, and they discuss together how to bring this family out of poverty. And they not only discuss, they decide, they prepare an action plan, and they pass a resolution to that effect, and they ensure that these families are brought out of poverty. The same thing with the education minister. How many dropouts are there? How many children do not go to school? Why they are not able to go to school and all that? Then they bring forward to that issue to the meeting. They discuss to ensure that every child is brought back to school and everyone goes to school. And the same thing with the health and medical ministers and all that. And as I have explained here. So that's how they function. Every week they have their meeting. And this neighborhood parliament, it is not only limited to the adult. We have 3 units of parliament, units of governance in every neighborhood. That is age-wise. One is for the children parliament between the age of 6 to 15. Then from 16 to 24, we have youth parliament. And above 25, we have adult parliament. And these 3 parliaments are interlinked by double linking. There will be a child minister representing in the adult parliament and one in the youth parliament. Similarly, from the youth parliament, one youth minister will represent in children parliament and one youth minister will be representing in the adult parliament. And in the adult parliament, the child safety minister will be the representative to the children parliament, and youth development minister will be the representative to the youth parliament. So that they are double linked, that there won't be any conflict of opinion, conflict of decision, and conflict of interest. If there is any conflict, all the 3 parliaments, they decide within their circles, then pass it on to the circles, other circles through the representations, so that amicable, acceptable decision is taken by the concerned groups. That's how it is. And these, all the 3 parliaments, whether children parliament or youth parliament or adult parliament, all of them are ministers, the way as I explained earlier. Everyone is responsible for something or other in day-to-day governance. It is not that somebody, just sit and listen and go. No, even the smallest person, even the smallest voice will have to hold responsibility for something and be an active part in ensuring a better neighborhood. And these neighborhood parliaments are networked at the village level. So we have certain principles for this. That is, first I said smallness in size, that is 30 ministers. Then numerical uniformity. 30 neighborhood parliaments will form, federated as a village level, which we call village parliament. And in the village parliament, the same ministries will be there. All of them will be ministers taking care of the issues which is concerned to that level, village level. And similarly, 30 village levels to the next level, then 30 next level to the another next level, whether it goes up to the district level, state level, and national level, and regional level as well as global level. That is our dream. So that a global parliament will be established starting from the neighborhood. The reason is the global parliament has to be functioning based on the decision taken from the neighborhood level. Because any issue happening at the global level affects any individual in any part of the country. For example, the war now today there in Russia and Ukraine, or Israel and Palestine, it affects me here as an individual. It affects me directly in many ways. One is emotionally I am disturbed. I am disturbed the way the people are killed, and it affects me. It affects my health. Then it affects the environment by so much of bombings and that, and lots of pollution. And the pollution cannot be confined only to Palestine. And it spreads and affects the whole world, whole planet. So I am also a person who is affected by the pollution and price rise. For example, when Russia blocked certain things there in Ukraine, the food price went up in Europe. And so everyone is affected. And when there was a gas war, we were affected because of the price rise of the petrol. So any issue at a particular level affects every individual at the global level. So we need a global system of governance starting from the neighborhood, where even an ordinary individual will have an assertive say at the global governance.
Yes,
that is
thank
what
you.
we are aiming at, and that's what is happening. And I think this is more than enough for the time being. Perhaps when Nourshan and Bedran will ask for more information, definitely we are ready to share, and we are ready to be part of your revolution there and support each other and work together so that even the last person in Rojava will have an assertive say in day-to-day governance. Thank you.
Just one more question for you. So in Rojava, there is 2 million people organized in circles. How many circles does India have?
See, India has 20% of the world population, the most populous country in the world. So 1.5 billion people. So what we have done in the past 30 years, it's only a drop in the ocean. And still, we can proudly say, all put together, the neighborhood parliaments of adult and youth parliaments and children parliaments, we have established about 390,000 units all over the country spread out. But of course, it is again a drop in the ocean because we are 1.5 billion people.
So 400,000 circles in India. Wow. So Barbara and Nate, Barbara was trying to respond on Joseph. So would you like to add a comment or an answer?
No, I really would appreciate to hear John back now, because we didn't hear him, and he's the one why we are coming together. So John, would you tell us something? What do you want us to know? So
I'm here in Washington, D.C., and I would very much like, Barbara, you to talk about your initiative with the Erasmus grant and where you are with that right now. I've been trying to connect in the background, but not so many spectacular things to describe, and yours is more important. I'm not really clear where you are at this point in your development.
So the one is the SoNeC project, what we did for 2 years, and this was granted by the Erasmus, and Erasmus is granting projects inside of Europe. But now we need to find democracy fundings for more than these. And so we, together with Joseph and Nate and we are supporting to build up the Neigborhood movement and to find fundings there. So this is what we are doing as a project in the moment. But what I want to share with you is that to learn more about sociocracy, because sociocracy is, instead of the majority system, what we use in democracy is a system to include everybody, as Joseph said, everybody in the neighborhood. This is the lowest level, but then also the higher level, when people from the neighborhood come together on the next level and they send representatives there. It's good to have this decision-making tool that everybody is heard, so every voice matters, and together we are wise enough to create solutions that are good for everybody. So this is the sociocracy approach. And what we did here in Austria and now in the German-speaking area, we started to create local centers for sociocracy, so that people in their local area, they are able to get the knowledge to learn about sociocracy and to be supported through the process of change their behavior from fighting and create majorities and minorities to find decisions together. in each committee, we can work in this way, also elect our representatives through consent decision with an open election. And to do this, we have now started the network of the international network of local upcoming, because there are not so many in the moment, only in the German-speaking area we have 5 of these centers, of these local centers, to learn how to do decisions together in a sociocratic way. And this is what I want to share with you. If you are interested to learn more about sociocracy, I would be very interested to support, to create a sociocracy, a local sociocracy learning point in your area in Rojava. If you are interested, I would support this.
Wow, Nourshan, that's an offer. Barbara was starting teaching sociocracy and do the trainings for all the experts, and building up a lot of sociocracy centers all over Europe at the moment. So would that help?
Excuse me, I'm not totally sure how the translation is. Can I just cut in quickly and make sure that was fully understood in Kurdish?
Look, I am translating over WhatsApp call to Mr. Bedran. So do you want him to answer on the offer of Barbara now?
تمام ببورن مساج من رحات قد ترجمانتي تونه بكي شاش فهم كرين شبو ببورن.
Please go ahead, like just say the last offer, maybe then they can answer if Barbara expecting them to answer now.
Nice. So Bedran or Nourshan, would you like to respond?
يعني فهم نكرك وقت برسكية از باردكم يعني بيشنيارا من دما برس بكن دسبيكي ببيجن جكي برس بكن جبوي أزان من قلت بلكي نقاشة من وقت برسكي فهم نكر.
I didn't quite clearly understand the question. My suggestion would be, when it's a question, we should say clearly as well, this is a question for such and such, because otherwise in the conversation we don't necessarily fully understand the question. But I think if I understand it right, I think if Bedran is getting the translation, but not Heval Nourshan.
So Barbara was offering sociocracy teaching, or yes, you wanna say it again?
We are creating an international network of upcoming sociocracy centers, and these are education centers who are teaching how to make sociocracy as the decision-making and the organizational tool instead of majority. So this is what I offered you, to come to this network and learn more about how to create a sociocracy center as an education center for a deeper democracy. Yeah.
بس جيبوا كيه
Is that for someone in particular? Would you prefer? Would you like an answer now at all? And if so, from Heval Nourshan, Heval Bedran, or it's not making a difference, or maybe it's just something we can discuss in the future? Heval Bedran's question was, who's the question for?
No, this we can discuss in the future. So it's an offer for the future. We stay in contact. Yeah.
Peshniaraki هي وأنت كارن تكليو دارستان داينين ولا بيش نكاشبكن.
از بخوازم تاني بزم جارده تشتكي بيجم يعني قالك جرينجش بوماك وأم بفي تشتناب باش ضربة بالهنجر كورسك هبي بسر سوسيوكراسي أم باشتر هبدو ناسكن أم آمادن هرتم.
Just want to say one small thing on this topic. It's really important for us that we're a part of this. If there's a course, if there's a meeting or whatever it is about sociocracy, we're ready, whatever it might be.
So
Uh,
what's the resonance and the issue, and what's the common intention of that we all meet, and what's the what can be the intention or the questions being asked to support each other, to get in connection, and yes, what's the weaving point here? Joseph.
Yeah, I think we can have a small committee formed among us so that we will discuss how we can take it forward. For example, sociocracy, establishing a sociocracy center there in Rojava, and introducing meritocracy system of governance there in Rojava, and we learning, we from India learning a lot of inputs from Rojava. All can take place if we can have a committee formed, and this committee meets regularly to discuss how we can go about it, because this cannot be done in one sitting. It has to be continuously done and formed such a way that we really make Rojava as a world model. Rojava, it's the revolution is it's a God-given opportunity for me. That's what I feel. So that it is made as a role model for real country level sociocracy as well as people's governance.
سپاس دکم بوی پیشنیارا و داخواست و تابی گرینگه تکلی و نقاش ما به هفته گله که گرینگه ام تجربه و آگاهی خواب هفته پار و بکن اب سیدی سید در خدمت دموکراسی و پیشکتنا دموکراسی دایم ام بینا حتی دومایی که دستک دکن.
Great, thanks for your suggestions and for the passion and desire shown here. It's really, really important that we make these connections. 100% we should stay in touch in these ways, because like this is definitely something in the service of creating a democratic system, and so we must stay connected.
اگر جبوی و چه تجربه روز آوا گرینگی جبوی ماجی تجربه هندستان و همو ولاتن دیتر تجربه دموکراسی دنیا جبوی ما گله گرینگی کو امری فایده جیب ببینن.
If the experience in Rojava is important for you, for us, it's really important the experiences gained in India and in many other countries, all these experiences of attempts at true democracy, so that we can learn from each other.
نتیجه پرسگریک دموکراسی پرسگریک که گلوباله.
The problem of democracy is a global problem.
جبوی پیشنیارا کو نابندک ببکرین استابلی پیشنیارا سید یوزف دبم کو کمیته چه به جبوی نقاشا بنا و کوردینا بنا و باش به هبرا خطاندن دم پیش مرید کنه نابندک و سجیبه که پرسگریک نابه.
For this suggestion to have kind of a center, I agree with the suggestion that we can form a committee so that we can coordinate, so that we can plan together, and in the future actually have a center based around this. This is a good, not a problem to follow through on this suggestion.
ازدواجم بلا کوردینا و تنسیق و ذاتاً لقال نابندا جواكا دولماسية جواكي هي القال وينا دوام بكن ونقاش بها برا بيش بكهن كومارا بدنا بيواجه كويدي لسر عرض براتيك هناك تشتاجي بها برا بكن.
And so the relationship should continue and build on the relation with the Civil Diplomacy Center, so that discussions can be held and so that it can be based also in like practical realities and practical duties.
وكينج خاص امجي دخدمات انا كينج بخاز نقاش بكن يا دجي مرتك من تيكلي امجي تم امدانا ام دخدمات انا.
We're also really keen to carry on these conversations, just as you said. So we're always ready and at your service.
سپاسی دکن اهتمام و گودار کرنوا.
Thank you very much for participation and for listening.
Thank you. John.
I have a sense that we may be drawing to a close, and I wanted to just get one thing in here to tell you that in the Provisional World Children's Parliament, where we have children who are anywhere between, I guess the youngest is probably 12 or 13 and 18, are meeting. And I think we have a few countries in Cameroon, Greece, India, the US. We've had Chile in there, but had trouble getting kids who can speak English. I had two different children from the Provisional World Children's Parliament speak briefly at the United Nations with good impact coming out of it. And we are attempting to organize a side event at the upcoming women's conference at the UN in March. And we would very much like to have a child, if it's possible, from the children's system from Rojava involved in that. We have to have a country sponsoring it, and we're making good progress that way. So would love to have you involved, and if you could contact me later, that would be great. We'll try to make sure they're involved in it.
ذكرت تشتكي جوزة بيجم راستيجي أف قال لك فرصتك قريبة جوما أم بيتك لي أرقبته و يعني أمي حموكو بيزا فاتي أم جاريكو أم كات تب هيك وري جبركو بلا قرين قدنجي زاروكا روجافا ينكو روجانات بن إريشين دولة تركدا جيانا فاش دستدن و طرفين خوا بريندار بن دستدن أم تروكا خال ويدار بيجن أم بلا قرين فاستكم جون.
I would say one thing on this topic. This is a really, really important issue for us. We absolutely agree that this is essential. And we will put all our force and all our power into making sure that this happens. It's really important that the voices of the children of Rojava, who are daily under attack from the Turkish state, who are also giving their life and are seeing the reality here, can be brought to a much wider level. And so we thank you very much for raising this issue, and we will work together on it.
So we can fix a timeline, and the founding members of this committee, and send a message to everyone. We can say when we can meet next and things like that, how we can plan and all that. And along with that, whatever John Buck has suggested about a child representative from Rojava to the Provisional Parliament, it's very, very important issue to have Rojava's voice echoed globally. Yeah. Good.
So what I'm hearing are the one is the intention of connecting and representing each other, and also support in spreading the different aspects of where different countries are with democracy and consent decisions and neighborhood circles and parliaments. And the other one is the learning and the exchange of deepening certain questions, like how what Nourshan was putting in the chat, how can we persuade voluntarily that participants are voluntarily in councils, or how does it how is the neighborhood circles are with the municipalities and the politics, how they are weaving and having an international exchange of different political systems, and how bottom-up circles and consent decision, and also involving governance on a broader level, where civil participants also be part of it. And what's in your presentation, Nourshan and Bedran, in Rojava, is that there is an inner cultural change in seeing the diversity, involving diversity, even if in a crisis where there is real war going on, in stating how can peace and being on eye height and being on the same level, being heard and tolerated and included in a system where there's a lot of ethnies and religions living together on the same page. And this is something what I see as a part of initiative what makes world peace and the values of humanity being in
Thank
the
you,
front.
Cornelia. It's now 1:30 here in Europe for us, and we want to close in time. So let me thank everybody here to come, and thank Cornelia to organizing this. Thank you, John Buck, for the initiative. And we will stay in contact together. Thank you, everybody who was here with us now, watching and hearing, listening what we had to say. And we will go on with this discussion, and we will really promote and support your work in Rojava.